bit a lot of saying these things.
Yeah. Right, we should be fine. 10 seconds to get by any lag, if there is one. Anyway, afternoon, David.
Afternoon, David. How are you doing?
Not bad. Yourself?
Okay. I mean, after this morning, the newspapers in Scotland were piss poor. But,
Piss poor?
I found a lot of interesting stuff for us to discuss.
Oh, I've always managed to find something. Now, before we get into stuff that's interesting to talk about, I guess we better talk about the Punch and Judy show in Holyrood today.
Yeah, dear. Please carry on.
Okay then, folks, First Minister's questions today. First up was Russell Finlay of the Tory branch office, the man who's ripping Tories, destroying the Tory party here in Scotland, so good on him.
Well, he just trying to keep up with Kevin Badenoch, isn't he?
More or less, aye.
Yeah, someone like that. Yeah, she's destroying the Tory party down the road.
Aye.
He's destroying the Tory party up here. So there you go. So.
Well, he was quite funny to watch, David, because he spent his question berating the Labour Party for breaking their manifesto pledge on taxes.
Yeah.
Because it's speculated that Reeves is going to break that. Our manifesto pledges not to raise certain taxes. And then he turns to John and says, "Oh, by the way, are you going to pledge not to raise taxes, John?" Well, it's no. The SNP didn't run on the manifesto on no raising taxes, so But John tells him.
For anybody, I mean, I know all my mates, so my friends on here will understand. But we've got to consider that there might be other people that watch this broadcast after the fact they don't know, right? The Scottish government cannot do a budget until the UK government does a budget. End of story.
Yep.
So we don't know what to put in our budget until the UK government's told us how much we're getting ripped off.
Something like that, aye. Anyway, John tells Russell that the Scottish government would set out its tax and spend policies in the Scottish Parliament and the Scottish budget in January.
So basically what he's doing is he's giving them time so the Rachel Reeves puts out whatever she's going to put out and they can look at it and go, how much is that going to cost us, blah, 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 and then work out the budget.
Well, basically, when you watch the pantomime, John was giving Russell Finlay a free jab at the Labour Party and then saying to him, listen, you'll find out in January.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is fair enough. Next up was Anna Sarwar. Now, Poverty Bite, as usual, was chasing ambulances.
Yeah. Oh.
But this time...
What happens if he actually catches out an ambulance?
Well, this time he's actually chasing the ambulance service and belittling and berating the ambulance service. He brings up the case of a couple of young athletes, Charlie Fox and Brooke Patterson, who, in the course of pursuing their sporting interests, hurt themselves and had long waits for ambulances. John looks at Sarwar as if to say, see, you're a diddy. And just says to him, the ambulance service is operating under a lot of pressure. End of
the day, it's like, does he think that these people, because they do sport, should get any better treatment than anybody else? No, it's fair. What's the French say? Equality, fraternity. At the end of the day, it's like everybody's the same.
The one that confused me, David, was Ross Greer of the Greens doing the Yuns job for them.
I know. That he wants a slap for that, honestly.
Ross, attacking the S.
Very unlike Ross Greer. Do you think he was trying to create space between the Greens and SNP by any chance?
I don't know, but he was definitely taking it around fucking door.
Yeah.
He berates the Scottish government about the opening up of a new oil field in the North Sea.
Yes.
And I'm fucking just like, are you daft, Ross?
I know. Ross Greer did know. He did understand. He fully understood. I believe what he's doing is he's trying to place air between SNP and the Greens.
Anyway, John looks at him in a bit of disgust and just tells him the SNP are committed to a just transition. What you should have told him was, "Oi, Muppet, it's reserved."
Yeah. See, in a situation like that, it might be that after the fact, after this election, that they require the Greens to actually take it forward as a majority, as a working majority, right?
Yes.
So taking Ross Greer apart, maybe not a good move.
He didn't take him apart. It was just
Well,
one.
I'm saying, you said what you should have said, da, right?
Aye.
Yeah.
But you can tell with John's answer, it was a silent rebuke.
Yeah.
You know, the way it was delivered.
Yeah.
The Scottish government's committed to a just transition. End of.
Yeah.
Sharp, sweet. Right, let's move on to the Scottish Land Reform Bill, which passed yesterday and might or might not make it to royal assent.
Yes, unfortunately, we still have King Big Ears that's going to get in the way of anything like that. But also, we've got King Big Ears' little friend, who is the jackbooted replacement for Alistair Jack, and may use Section 35 to kibosh the whole bloody lot.
That's one thing for sure. We Dougie Alexander's no wearing jackboots. He tried to put a jackboot, but only he'd fall in, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, true.
Insignificant little twit that he is. Right, anyway, so what's in the Land Reform Bill? And then we'll get round to why it might not make it. Right. Now, there's no lot for the average Joe to worry about in it.
Yeah.
There is additional protections for tenant farmers, additional protection for small landowners, the creation of a new land commissioner, and when a parcel of land comes up that's any bigger than 1,000 hectares, then it must be reported by the landowner to the Scottish Government, and the proposed sale must be looked at to see if what it's being sold for is an appropriate use of the land.
Now, 1 hectare is massive. 1 acre, I'll tell you now, it's a pretty big lump of land, right? So go looking up a hectare. David, how many? What makes up a hectare? How many acres are in a hectare?
2.417.
Right, there you go.
I think that's it.
So straight again, we're talking 1,000 of those. 1,000 of those, right?
Well, 1,000 is 2,417 acres.
Yeah, acres, right.
Right, anyway, if a plot of land like that comes up for sale, it's called in for the land use to be looked at by the Scottish Government, and of course to see whether a community group wants to buy it out first.
Yeah, I would say that if a plot of land like that came up, or anywhere near, because you can imagine this, like these landowners are going to get round it as best they can. They might put up 999 hectares, right? And at the end of the day, it's stupid. Well, there's a lot to be sorted out on this land reform, right? Getting it through is the first stage, but even getting it through doesn't mean it's going to get passed by King Big Ears, or it's going to get Section 35 by.
Well, the legislation will also compel. The legislation will also compel owners of large land holdings to tell the surrounding community more about what happens on their land by publishing a land management plan each year. A failure to comply with this requirement could result in a fine of up to £40,000. What do you mean by a land management plan each year? Well, you can put out a 10-year land management plan, but you need to update it each year, inform the community how the land management plan will go before the new land commissioner as well.
As far as that's concerned, it's that there's lots of holes in the land reform thing. As we can actually see if you read about it yourself. But what I want the land reform to come in, but also be tied up with land tax. And if you have a land tax,
there have been objections to the bill.
Yeah.
I mean, property, the Landowners Association, which Patrick Cogan is the chief executive of, and he's the guy that runs the Luss Estates, which own 50,000 acres of land around Loch Lomond.
Yep.
He says he's concerned that the parcel of land that will be designated as a big parcel of land will shrink each time a new administration comes in. Right, and they've employed a team of lawyers to look at this bill. So they've got firm Turncat Cornwall, and they describe the bill as junk, arguing that ambiguity over the defined definition of a large landholding could make the law unworkable or impossible.
I think you're going to see people like that objecting to this the whole way through. And woe betide we bring in land tax as well. Because the great thing about land tax is if you can properly classify each individual pocket of land, right? So in other words, the Luss estate, if you imagine, it's got houses and or whatever that can be rented out or sold or whatever, right? That might have one classification, but a sporting estate would be through the ceiling.
Bloody comment I keep trying to put up. Keeps moving. So Larry Cat's having a laugh. Give Ross a kick in the nuts and tell him there's 2 free acres. I'm sure John would if he thought he could get away with it, but he's not the class bully or John. Right, anyway, back to this land reform bill. As I say, they've employed a team of lawyers, Turkin Connell, and they've described the bill as junk, arguing the ambiguity to say over the size of a plot of a large land holding. You know, the Community Land Scotland, which represents community landowners, said the bill was a step forward for land reform. And the Rural Affairs Secretary has been accused of lack of ambition in the bill. The usual nonsense.
Do you think in that situation, one of the people have put up thing, we now know who wants Flamingo Land to go ahead. Do you now think that Flamingo Land would be able to say, well, there's a pocket of land, sell it in the future?
Well, let's put it this way, no Flamingo Land's not going to happen.
Well, also, if it did happen, we become independent and land tax takes place, would Flamingo Lands go, well, that's it, it's over and done with, we're out of here, bugger off, there's a land, and all the dodgems and all the rest of it, right? Get rid of it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, as I say, folks, the land reform bill is not really anything that's going to affect most of us. The other thing that is protected in the land reform bill is agricultural land. We all realise how important agriculture is to our economy.
Yeah.
And of course to our bellies.
Well, not just that, it's the exports of Scottish food and drink. Food. Remember, food is an important part of that. The whiskey might be a lot, but also food, salmon, all the rest of it, right? It's important to us. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Right?
Of course it is. Right, this next one puzzled me. I've got no idea why they're telling us this. But this next one, record number of referrals to Scotland's anti-terror scheme, according to the BBC. Now this one, I just didn't get it. Now, UTI referrals to prevent, it's called, it's the UK terror prevention programme. Okay. UTI, 8,877 referrals last year, 162 of them in Scotland. Why is this even making the fucking news?
I think it's the headline that counts on this one, isn't it?
It's fear-mongering, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's mere fear-mongering.
Yeah.
But anyway, once they brought the bloody thing up, we may as well have a wee look and see what sort of referrals were made to prevent here in Scotland, shall we? I'll just share the graph. I know we don't normally do much of this stuff here, folks. But right, what does it say in this graph here? Well, Those of you are watching the TV will be able to see it.
Yeah.
The rest of you probably be struggling on your
The top one says extreme right wing.
Right, types of
30%.
concern for referrals to prevent in Scotland 2024. Extreme right wing 38%. No ideology. Other susceptibility to radicalisation 16%. Islamist extremists 14%. Fascination with extreme violence 12%. No ideology identified 11%. Multiple ideologies with no dominant ideology 5%. Incel extremists is at 3%, and Northern Ireland related unionist and loyalist activity makes up referrals for 1%. Now, the incel one was interesting because we didn't have idea what it was. We had to look it up. And what's incel? Well, the ideology behind that, I'll bring it up. You won't be able to read it, but I'll read it out.
Doctor, it's my Willie.
Well, anyway, after I've read you the proper definition, we'll round that up for you. Incel extremism is an ideology and online subculture and predominantly heterosexual men who identify as involuntary celibates and harbour extreme resentment, anger and misogyny towards women and society for their perceived inability to form romantic or sexual relationships. A small but growing number of adherents have committed acts of violence and terrorism motivated by these beliefs. Involuntary celibacy, the foundational characteristic in the belief that they are unable to find a sexual or romantic partner despite desiring one, a situation they believe is beyond their control. What a load of nonsense. So,
it's not actually a load of nonsense. However, to be honest with you, it's 3%, David.
You know. But what is that 3%? These misogynists and things like that? Well, just a bunch of insecure wee boys.
Yeah, well,
but apparently it's a new subculture.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the interesting bit when you break the figures down even more is the right wing extremism is the predominant problem here in Scotland.
Right.
In the West Coast, 35% of the 162 people live. 33% live in the East Coast. 11% live in the Northeast. So really, I don't see why it's a story when you've got 5 million people, only 162 of them are referred.
Yeah, I think it's the BBC yet again doing what the BBC are brilliant at, which is pushing propaganda by attachment.
It's soft propaganda. We'll get to number 10.
Getting people to make the connection themselves.
Soft propaganda, David, we'll get to the connection when we get to number 10, my friend, won't we?
Yeah.
So stay tuned, folks, because that one's going to be quite interesting. Right. So for some reason, an insignificant amount of people being referred to the UK anti-terror, they're calling it the Scottish Government anti-terror, the UK anti-terror programme is apparently big news. Right, this next one's quite funny, but Pete Wishart MP taking legal advice after Musk's chatbot Grok was asked about Wishart's views on grooming gangs inquiries in Scotland. Grok called Pete a rape enabler. Now that's pretty serious stuff.
That is serious stuff. The great thing about it is, the really, really good thing about it is, that if you're going to sue somebody, make sure the pockets are deep.
Actually, David, he's got no chance of winning the lawsuit, so it'll go nowhere. The reason why Grok gave that answer was because it was only given two answers, a yes or no answer to be able to give. Is Pete Wishart a rape enabler based on his views on grooming gang inquiries in Scotland? Yes or no answer, Grok, and Grok gave the yes answer.
Right. So
the user of Grok who was directing Grok in the direction he wanted it to go in, which shows you the AI is not as smart as it thinks it is.
Well, at the moment it can still be controlled.
But it certainly was taken for a ride with us.
I assure you that in a year's time, couple of years' time, it will not be controlled. It'll be the voice out there. Something like that.
Andy, I didn't look to see how it reflected in the other nations of the UK, but 8,877 UK wide and only 162 in Scotland. It sounds insignificant, actually.
Yeah.
But so it would appear that the user was the one that directed Grok to the answer that was given. But when Wishart seen it, he was shocked. You know, apparently it's a non-story, David. Because apparently, in a conversation with Grok later on, apparently Grok apologised to Pete once Pete had explained to him what his views was. And I'm saying to myself, why is a politician engaging with this fucking idiot AI? It's always not very good.
David, you're miles off there. It's not AI has surpassed the IQ. What genius IQ? It's gone that far.
Is it? And that's why some user could direct it to say something that wasn't.
No. You are looking the wrong direction. Grok is not the AI we're talking about, right? So it should be in Star Wars. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? Seriously,
Grok's the chatbot we're talking about here.
Yeah, all right. It's an AI. Grok is an AI. Right?
That's right. And some user was able to get it.
AIs on the go, and they have every single one of them have surpassed the IQ of the most brightest human being.
How would they know? I do sometimes use it.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm using it to get reference after I've already had.
The only one I've used for artwork is Meta system.
They use anything for anything other than when I'm googling something and I get a lot of articles, then I maybe add AI into the equation. But as I say, this particular Grok, it tells you in the story that the person who was posing the questions manipulated it into giving that answer.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, AI is a crap bot, you know.
Right.
But as I say, he's no chance of winning a lawsuit.
Here's Steve. Thank you very much. Thank you. Here's to the WD-40 fund. Davies squeaky chair.
Oh, try the WD-40. Try the WD-40. It's not working.
Oh, love it. That's really good.
I have tried. Lorna phoned me up and told me to fucking spray the chair with oil and all. It's just no worked.
I've got news for you. It's no the chair. It's his fucking arse that squeaks. That's what it is.
Aye, that's it. Right, so Pete's got absolutely no chance of winning a lawsuit against XAI. None. So it wasn't Grok was manipulated in this particular instance. It tells you in the article that he was manipulated.
Yeah, fine. Grok was manipulated. It really had nothing else to go on, right? Fine. But you've got to be careful. In a year or two's time, you'll find that it's
well, that's why I was interested in some of the proposals.
Going to be front and centre.
I was interested in some of the proposals about taxing these AI call centres, which are putting people out of work.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's face it, the Treasury loses income tax and national insurance out of the deal.
Yeah.
Well, the company piles on profits.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of questions about AI and how it replaces people and what replaces the revenue that's going to be lost from these people. Right, and just to lighten the mood, it's just a fond farewell to a family baker, Scotland's oldest family baker. And it's 200 years old. It's been around a very long time. And the bakery in question is Alexander Taylor's in Straven in South Lanarkshire. Barry and Claire Taylor have decided to retire early to go back to their first love of art. They do have 2 children, but they don't want to take it out. So after 200 years of being in the one family, this bakery is up for sale. Now, shame really, there's really great food. It's been a landmark in the area for many years. And when that route became part of the Air Edinburgh transportation route. That's what sustained the bakeries through many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just it's a history story, just end up in a good news story. Now, I've met Claire and Barry because, as you all know, folks, I've done some work for Fleming Howden as a truck driver, and I've delivered to the bakery. And they're really nice people, and Claire's even held art gallery event, art events in the back of the bakery. Yeah. So I'm just hoping that whoever takes it over continues it as a bakery, David.
Maybe not. They won't be the only people that have ever been stuck in a situation whereby you offer the company to the kids and the kids go, nah, I don't want that. I offered my company to all my kids and they just went, nah. So at the end of the day, it's like they may not have the dreams that you have.
Yeah, I like that one for Rosie, because Rosie stays there. She says she knows the bakery does really good stuff, but it's too expensive for her. Well, to be fair, Rosie, when I was delivering there, I wasn't paying for it, they were giving me. And they did some nice pies and sausage rolls and a lot of fancy wee cakes. But it's a light-hearted thing to be move on to David Lammy. I want to leave time for the last one, David, so we're going to move on to David Lammy and the shite he's taking or the carry on with these two prisoners that were released by mistake. Now, Chris Mason, who's the BBC's online political editor, he more or less calls him a fucking idiot and says he's lost control of law and order.
No, but the best one in a lot is the first one that ever did that, right? He got released. And he was away for half an hour and he came back and he said, which way is the train station? Well, it's going to make it up, honestly. That was brilliant.
Aye, but Kabatu, I think the first one was that was his name. The interesting thing, on the day that these two prisoners were released from Wandsworth Prison, right, the governor of Wandsworth Prison was there at the other one, where the other one had been released for investigating that incident. Talk about a comedy of bloody errors. But Lammy's getting it in the neck. But it tells us in the article that 22 people a month are released by mistake in England.
Yeah.
But that also tells us something, David, that this is propaganda. And it's all part of this culture wars that's going on down that road. Yeah. And the divide and conquer going on down that road as the state fails. Because the only reason why this is a story is because the asylum seeker, sex offender as they're calling him, Mr. Sharif, he was an asylum seeker and he wasn't a serious sex offender either. I've got a funny feeling the reason why he committed his offence was to try and get his asylum decision that had said he couldn't stay overturned. I think it was trying to play the crazy card. Because you can't send a lunatic away, you've got to give him medical attention.
Right.
But
no, we will never ever know about that.
No, we won't, because he won't be deported. He was going to be deported anyway. He came here on a visitor's visa and never left.
Yeah.
So he came into the country legally, became illegal while here, applied for asylum, got denied asylum, and after being denied asylum, he committed his offence of exposing himself in public. And I think he was probably going to try and play the only card in his appeal against being deported. But I don't know his motive for doing it. He might just be a bit strange, pervert.
That's right.
Don't know.
Does happen, David.
Do you have any sympathy with Lammy on this one? I do. Yeah. It's systemic. It's nothing to do with the person that died, Lammy. It's nothing to do with him at the top. He's got a lot in his plate as well as the prisons.
David Lammy's too busy having a go at the SNP. We'll get to that later, but
they're definitely too busy having a pop at everybody and blaming everybody. That's the normal stuff. Yeah. But the main thing that the Westminster government's doing is financing and giving money to Israel and weapons to Israel.
Did you know that David Lammy had a DNA test and he was found to be 5% Scottish?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I wonder if it was his big toe or what about Scottish?
You seen the size of him? It was probably his wee toe.
Stop it.
But to be fair to Lammy, as I say, this is a systemic problem. It tells you in the article that 22 people a month are released by mistake in England. And I dare say if I looked at the figures, we'd find maybe 1 or 2 a month here in Scotland. Or if you take it proportionately, four maybe a month here in Scotland. You probably find something similar in Wales and in Northern Ireland, as all the systems are basically built mirroring each other. You know, so I'm not going to... he is getting it by his political adversaries, and he's going to have to get and tap it quick.
I've got it. Stop people walking backwards. See, when they walk backwards, they can walk at the front door and look as if they're going forward.
Is that what it is?
Anyway, right, stop.
Anyway, one of the guys, the one that wasn't the coloured person, the one that wasn't the coloured person, he was actually released on the day he was admitted because he had court clerical error. And he was asked when he was being released, could you please hand yourself back into the nearest police station? So apparently he did. So there was an error on the order to take him into prison. So they put him out of prison till the order was sorted out and bring him back in again. Absolutely mental, as I say. But Lammy's opponents, of course, are having an absolute field day with this one.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
But the real reason it's in the news, folks, is got to do with their divide and conquer. It's because one of them was a coloured guy. There's been no report of the 22 a month being released until this article, when I've read it, that this is happening by mistake in England. I haven't went looking for the figures in Scotland, but I will bet you the same similar things happen in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Maybe not as many as 22 because we've got smaller populations.
Well, according to debate night last night, we're letting 1,000 prisoners go, but that's part of the if you like the situation we've got in the moment, which is the fact that Scotland's got too many people in prison.
Yes. And it was interesting. I was watching Seamus Logan on one of these fucking programmes talking about this. He says, what we really need to do is take a different approach to offending.
That's right.
Rather than building more prisons and more prisons and more prisons and more prisons, let's take a look at how we deal with this.
Yeah.
Right. This is one that's going to get Middle England up in arms. And this is budget speculation, David, and there seems to be an awful lot of it. And that is that Chancellor Rachel Reeves to introduce a new road tax for EVs. Now, as you know, road tax on fossil fuel cars is based on emission tests and how much emissions your car produces. Right. So there isn't a road tax on EVs at the moment. So they need to introduce a new tax for EVs. Otherwise, they're not able to maintain the highways, will they?
Well, we know fine well that there'll be all kinds of taxes involved in that, because what is the Westminster other than a place where small boys and girls go to actually grow up into constructing taxes to rip the hell out of the people of the islands of Britain? Simple as that.
Maybe you're a wee bit off there. What they're doing is misusing the power they've got to steal for the people.
Yes.
The tax is a good thing.
Tax is a good thing, but however, the number of taxes.
If we want our central governments to supply us with roads and transport infrastructure, taxes are necessary.
You charge everybody a commensurate rate on their income tax. End of story. Instead of thinking up, and there's another one, and there's another one. Oh, and get this one as well. Just take it to the budget and say that's how much tax you're going to pay at that level.
Right, now we're getting told that this story is a bunch of bollocks. It's on the BBC. Apparently, a road tax was introduced for EVs at £195 per year. David, your wife's got it's a hybrid. Your wife's got.
It's a hybrid, yeah, but it's still an EV. You consider it,
Yeah, apparently she was also thinking about introducing a mileage tax.
Yeah.
At 3 pence a mile. You don't mind this stuff if the money's been spent on infrastructure. You know, we already have a road tax system.
We've got to consider
standardised tax for
deliveries.
You're
going to charge a company extra for deliveries, right?
Aye.
Right. What do you think they're going to hand that to? Mr. and Mrs. Customer.
Correct.
I'm getting charged for such and such. You're going to get charged to deal with that as well. So what's that?
See, what's they have to do? I mean, I'm not against road tax as long as it's going to be used for transport infrastructure. You know, I'm no, but why don't we just go back to standardising it again?
But why have we got vehicle tax in the first place? It's not used for road infrastructure.
No, it's anti-general taxation, but it should be used for road infrastructure.
Yeah.
But as I say, why don't we just go back to how it was prior to all this emissions nonsense and have a standard set road tax for everybody? Let's say it's set at £300 a year on every vehicle.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, let's move on. This one's getting boring. Bank of England holds interest rate at 4%.
Am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. It's a laugh, though.
It's definitely contrary to normal monetary policy, yes.
I mean, and the simple reason for it is that in England, and specifically England I'm pointing to on this one, if they had put up the interest rates, England would have died with its feet in the air. So is that.
Chris, your point is correct. Taxation doesn't pay for anything at all. Spending is created, money's created. Tax offsets the spending. That's all. Create the money first, spend the money, tax it back. That's how it works.
Yes, we know that.
Right, anyway, but the bank...
It's the same thing, though, right? At the end of the day, when you work it out, he's right in what he's saying. But however, doesn't matter how you work it out, it's still the same.
But now, as I say, it's contrary to monetary policy, normal monetary policy, and it's leading to a problem with inflation. They're getting away with it so far. It hasn't crept up again. It's stuck at 3.8. But at some point, that's going to start creeping up again because there's no check on it.
Dead simple. Dead simple. Time for independence. Independence, independence, as they say in Scotland. Right? Get away from all this. Let England deal with its own ruptures with regard to tax.
Well, as I say,
and spending, and the Bank of England, they've fucked it up now, and it's going to be worse fucked up in the future.
Now we'll get back on track. Now, normally, folks, with inflation sitting at 3.8%, in order to suppress that inflation, they would up interest rates. But the Bank of England, contrary to normal monetary policy, isn't increasing interest rates. And the reason for that is, as David points out, the economy's on its arse. Up the interest rates, mortgages become unaffordable, families start to go bankrupt. That's why they were forced into the position of bringing interest rates down.
Yeah.
Because it was getting to the point where keys were going back through bank fucking letterboxes.
Yeah.
And we remember with that in the 80s with 18% fucking inflation.
Oh, I can tell you, I can even tell you where I was when I heard the news. I was in my garage at the time, at the side of the house.
18% interest rates or something like that. Fucking no you.
I went to myself, how on earth are we all going to pay this?
A lot of you didn't. A lot of you had to walk away.
Yeah, that's right.
Declare yourself bankrupt.
I had friends that actually put their keys back through the door. Simple as that.
So once again, as I say, this makes no sense. The Bank of England is actually artificially holding inflation high by not putting up the interest rates.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's move on. New York mayoral election was won by a socialist. Whoever thought we would see the day when a US city elected a socialist? Anyway, it was Sarin Mandani.
Yep.
Young, energetic, civic
Zohan.
socialist.
Zohan. Yes.
Zohan, aye. And I like the Curtis Jib.
Yeah. I mean, I've read lots about him. And what can I say? It's Bernie Sanders. It's a young Bernie Sanders. That's what it is.
Aye, but as I say, America, I mean, the word socialism's like communism, or it's a taboo.
No, yeah, again, it's like, that doesn't count. That honestly doesn't count. That's people that are like the new conservatives in America and the old conservatives in America saying, oh, no, it's socialism, that's communism.
Aye.
Which is a load of nonsense. All you need to do is blooming Google it. Google up the difference between communism and socialism, and it'll tell you. Something as that. Come on.
Should have done that, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, as I say, I like you cut the young fella's jib. I really do. And the fact that he's pro-Palestinian as well.
Yeah.
And it's a big slap in the puss for the orange man baby.
Yeah, well, straight away, as soon as I heard, I put in my search engine and I said, what connection has Zohan got with AIPAC, the American Israel lobby, right? Okay. And it came up and oh, yes, it does. It came, right? And well, shit. Yes, he stood against the American lobby for Israel ever since he started debating and campaigning all this, right? And I went, oh, that's great. That's good.
Well,
the guy is against the Israeli lobby.
What do you call it? Young Reagan elite thinks he gives the world hope, and we're short on that.
Yeah.
Well, some would argue that Zach Polanski's playing the same card.
Yeah.
And some would argue the SNP are playing the same card here in Scotland, offering the people change, a hope, and ambition.
Yeah. Ah, but they were offered change before, David. How did that go?
Not well. They voted Labour. They didn't get change. They got Blue Tories, as they're now called. Blue Labour, as they're now calling them in England.
Yeah.
We've been calling them Red Tories for years, but England decided to call them Blue Labour. And we talk about cultural differences. You know, but David, let's hope that hope spreads right across America. And it's a Larry Cap put a video where he was talking about the Virginia governor's race being won by a boy and all, Virginia being a traditional red state and things like that. So maybe the young fella will signal hope.
Isn't he a Trump opposing Republican?
Who?
Zohan.
Aye.
Yeah.
No, he's not Trump opposing a Republican. He's a Democrat.
Yeah. All right. It needs looking up, but at the same time, it's like.
Looking up, David. He's a Democrat.
No, but that doesn't decry away from what the guy is.
He's a socialist Democrat.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, this brings us to the last one.
Yeah.
And that's the headline in the National this morning, where the Defence Secretary says the Scottish Government is the biggest threat to the UK.
And Lammy, you name it, you go through it, there's a whole load of them suddenly come out with that nonsense.
And they're scared.
I think the front bench of Labour are Zionists. That's where. No, let me finish this point, right? They're Zionists, right? What the Zionists are really good at is they're good at pointing towards Hamas and going, that's a threat to Israel, right? Whilst Israel is committing genocide on Gaza, right? We've got So in other words, they've taken a leaf out of that book and they've said, "Oh, let's play the victim to the SNP."
A leaf out the book. They wrote the fucking book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But do you think they're trying to? Do you think they're scared, or do you think they're trying to create fear?
Yes, definitely, without doubt.
And of course, that takes us back to the number of people being reported to the UK anti-terrorist register.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why this is a story. They're linked, trying to create an atmosphere of fear.
At some point, as was discussed by you and I, the SNP are going to be prescribed the same as Palestine Action, and those people being a member of the SNP would be liable to be locked up for up to 14 years. And all it takes is, because Westminster are in charge at the moment, effectively that could happen. And it could happen.
Aye, Peter M. Mac Hamas has got down there. But no, we've seen it happen. We've seen the way they demonised the nationalists in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Leading to violence.
That's right. Yeah.
You know. So this is a watching brief, this one, David. We'll see how far this one takes legs.
I think it's going to take arms and legs.
What they can't beat is that the ballot box are going to prescribe us.
Yeah. But the thing is, at that point, you've got to say to yourself, the Scottish police are going to go after people for being a member of the SNP.
Better build a few more fucking prisons in, haven't they?
Aye, just a bit.
But is this we spoke about we spoke of this a few years ago, David? Is this the route they're going to take down? Because this has been a watching brief.
Well, at the end of the day, it's like you've got to look at where we're heading. Scottish independence. It's not going to be easy. We saw that if you look at America's history, they actually had a war over it. A war of independence took place. Previously, we had a war of independence when it was Edward Longshanks, right? And Wallace and Bruce and all the rest of it, right? Okay. So at the end of the day, this ain't going to be easy. But my goodness me.
I don't think it'll be that far.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Is hugely important at this time.
Well, David, we have spoken about this before. We've said it's a watching brief. It seems to have accelerated a wee bit now. This is about the third or fourth time this has come up. My
way to think on this is that these people that are trying this are fucking cowards, and what we need to do is stick our chin out and go, right, fucking try it. Right? End of story.
Well, as I say, I don't think we need to stick with chin out, because that will encourage them to prescribe us.
If they prescribe us, the same as Palestine Action, right? The amount of court cases that are going ahead with that is unbelievable. We're talking about the Home Office being taken to court for making Palestine Action a prescribed organisation.
Well, they never prescribed Sinn Féin, so
that's right.
I don't think they've got the cojones to prescribe the SNP. Well, a threat to the integrity of the UK. They've already. I mean, they've already labelled the movement extremist.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think they've got the cojones to actually prescribe a political party.
At the end of the day, I love this new development of saying, oh, the SNP are a threat to England, to the UK, whatever, right? Okay. What they're talking about is getting rid of the nuclear subs, right? At the end of the day, that's what we want.
It's interesting because that's the way the Defence Secretary put it. If Scotland departs and gets rid of the nukes, England becomes a target, and you've got to ask yourself, well, why does England become a target?
Yeah, because for the nuclear submarines to work, the nuclear submarines have got to be at sea. They don't sit in the fast lane and go, all right, we'll protect old England. Fucking hell, man. Don't be so stupid. At the end of the day, it's an at-sea.
Thanks, Andy. You didn't need to. I was going to talk about your screen cleaner later. You didn't use a couple of quid to talk to get it in. Aye, folks. Episode 2 of Screen Cleaner, I did a timeline of political journalism and how it went from being the watchdog that held truth to power to after the Second World War, where it became a narrative setter. It realised how it could become a narrative setter. So that's on Screen Cleaner, Andy Luke's channel, if you want to have a wee look at it. As I say, I did a piece to camera for him on the timeline of the opening up of political journalism in 1770 odds to how it went from holding truth to power and good investigative journalism to setting the narrative. So you might find that. And by the way, his Screen Cleaner programme, never mind the fact that I'm on it, I watched it. It's fucking brilliant, Andy. I'll not be missing an episode. And hit me up on Hit me up on WhatsApp if to tell me what it is you'd like me to talk about this week. I know you told me the other night there, but it was before my birthday and I was pretty well paralytic yesterday.
Anyway, back to what we were discussing.
Oh, right. Back to what we were discussing. Would they go as far as trying to Northern Ireland eyes Scotland? I don't think so. There's not that big a divide.
I think the Northern Ireland thing was nice and easy because there was water that separated. And the moment that the IRA hit the hotel where Maggie Thatcher was, that became a different aspect came onto it. And went, oh shit, right? So at the end of the day, it's like I'm sure they'll look back on that and go, do we really want this? I don't think they do.
Well, listen, it's a method of holding on to something that they need. It's a route to go down.
At the end of the day, the people of Scotland have got the ability to go, right, there's a tick for blooming SNP. Let's get it done. Don't listen to any of this nonsense because these guys down the road just fucking cowards. Let's take them on.
Stephen, is Plaid Cymru a threat? You bet your arse. That's why they're up in this nonsense and rhetoric. They know they're about to have a nationalist government in Wales, a nationalist government in Scotland, and a nationalist government in Northern Ireland.
Yep.
And that's a fucking terrifying thought to them.
As Leslie quite rightly says, are we on a journey here? I think we are.
Oh, they know they're in trouble. And what's worse is they won't let the people of England speak.
Yeah.
They just won't let the people of England have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, they're told that they're subsidising us all. Do they want their tax money subsidising us when they're in such trouble themselves?
Yeah, I know.
When do the people of England get a say on their future? You know, but they do have a nationalist movement going, but it's not a healthy nationalist movement. It's a right-wing nationalist.
It's knuckle dragger.
Wherein the rest is even in Northern Ireland, where it's developed into a civic nationalism.
Oh, I see that Robson, whatever his name is, he's lost his court case where he was being done for, was it racism, blah, 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 is it, right? Yeah. The chap that's in charge of Britain First or whatever it's called, right? Chap was in charge of the big protest down the road.
Oh, Tommy Robertson.
Tommy Robertson, is that?
What's he done now?
I know he was already in court, and he went to Israel to get away from it, right? And he's just found out he's lost. So it's sentencing now, something like that.
Oh, so he's gone back to jail again then, is he?
Don't know, but there
He'll
you
be
go.
He'll be putting he's a martyr on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talk about threat to nationalism. But now, if they can't beat us at the ballot box, David, I mean, Labour up here, Jackie Bailey, Sarwar, and a couple of MPs are working on reviewing the powers of devolution if they can't beat us up here at the ballot box. And they have encouraged Douglas Alexander to continue to use Section 30 or 35 orders to thwart the Scottish Government.
I think somebody needs to talk to Douglas Alexander and say, Douglas, you're Labour. Do you really want to do this if Scotland becomes an independent nation?
There's bound to be trouble there tonight in the City Flyer.
Yeah.
If Tommy Robson's at the Aston Villa ground tonight, there's going to be trouble there.
Yeah.
But as I say, how far are they willing to go to stop this? I mean, that talk in Westminster about Scotland, the Scottish Government being the biggest risk to national security at this point in time, that's fucking not on.
Yeah.
But as I say, folks, this is a watching brief. It's come up again. This is about the third or fourth time they've made this sort of
intervention. Some of what I was saying, when the front bench of Labour are Zionists, and Zionists are really good at playing the victim card. Is that basically what's happening here? We're starting to go, oh, we play the victim card too.
You see, they wrote the playbook, David. So they did. You know. And they, as we've explained before, the reason we've got this mess in Palestine is because of something that happened in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in 1917.
Yeah.
The Balfour Declaration.
Yeah.
Tommy Names is getting a bit of a mention now that you brought him up, David.
Yes. Well, also we've got to look at the agreement that was made back in 1707, right? Where effectively you've got to say to yourself, that was a bad agreement. Now, all these people are now dead that signed it. The parcel of rogues, they're dead, they're gone, right? So shouldn't we be looking at getting rid of the plumbing agreement they did as well at the same time? That's dead and gone. It is dead and gone.
Aye.
What it needs is for enough people to go, yeah, that's right. And it's gone.
Right, time to wind this one up, David. We saved that one to the end because this is a watching brief. The last time they introduced anything that was going to demonise the Scottish independence movement was when Michael Gove aligned the meaning of extremism to take us into that category.
Yeah.
Could Labour be about to take it one step further?
Yeah, we're all going to be going from extremist to terrorist. Is that what it gets into? When beeped.
Wasn't it me?
Well, it wasn't me either, right? So there you go. So, all right. So
apparently we need 7 more likes to hit the 100 mark, apparently, and that's the magic number, apparently, affect the algorithm, folks. It always amazes me that we get...
Guys, you might not like this, but hit the like button anyway.
As I say, it always amazes me the size of this channel, the size of the live audience we get.
Yeah.
You know, and we always appreciate you being here. And folks, I really mean this. Go and have a look at Andy Luke's channel and Screen Cleaner. Last week's episode and this week's episode are absolute belters. I mean, they're really worth it. And there's a fair bit of humour in it, and Offie Andy is quite good. So, Screen Cleaner's the name of the programme, Andy Luke's channel. Honestly, it's worth watching, folks. It is worth watching. All right. Right, David, time to wrap this one. I've got work to go to.
Time for independence, as they say in Scotland.
And eyes on the prize.
Nice.
26.
Yeah.
So thanks, moderator. Thanks, everybody who made the contribution.
Yeah.
Bye for